You are so witty, such fun. If only we could spend a little more time together. Especially at night.
What the hell?
And you all thought that Sheep and Wolves was a weird video. Let me tell you folks about Arca de Noe, otherwise known as Noah's Ark 2007. Off the bat, you can tell that this movie is very different compared to every other Noah's Ark movie out there, which is a surprising amount to be honest, and they all have a broad range in flavor. You got cute and cartoony, comedy, action fantasy, but this one stands out for a very special reason. Instead of having exclusively normal animals, you have some that are anthropomorphic. And I mean really anthro. Full-on legs, hips, and chest. You can tell that the people who made this movie really enjoy their busty cat girls.
I wanna outlive you, dear, don't try to run. I wouldn't bother.
Outside of the character designs, the most interesting thing about the film is that it's not terrible. I'm so used to reviewing stuff that's absolute trash, but I wouldn't put this movie in that category. I mean, it's not perfect, but there's some talent that went into this film, and I think that it's worth talking about, especially since a certain family-friendly company has ties to it. Can you guess which one? That's right. Looks like Mickey Mouse is more of a furry than we originally thought. Buena Vista International is a section of Disney that distributes films, and that's the case here for Noah's Ark. And it goes even further. Disney actually bought the production studio that made this film back in 2007. So technically, Disney owns the movie too. Not all of it, but some of it. The studio behind the movie goes by the name of PATAGONIK Film Group and is stationed out of Argentina. They were founded in 1996 and are behind quite a few movies, such as Condor Cruise and The Hairy Tooth Fairy.
You insist on keeping children's excitement alive? Sooner or later, they grow up. And everyone knows what the grown-ups do, right? They poison us.
Like the Sheep and Wolves movie, we see anthropomorphic characters at play here, which is the most unique element about the movie. I don't think I've ever seen this premise before with a Noah's Ark story, but I feel that they really don't do anything with it. Like, you have some anthro animals, but they just come across as sexually charged, and that's it. I feel that they could have done so much more, but nope. Also, the animals and their designs are all over the place. There's actually a scene where you have an anthropomorphic bull right next to an actual bull, and it doesn't make any sense. The last thing about this movie that stands out is that it has a censored version. The original came out in 2007 and features quite a few mature jokes that range from sex to drug use. In 2014, a version of the movie was released on DVD via Shout Factory, and it was toned down. The best part about this is reading the reviews for the movie on Amazon. You have all of these upset Christian families who thought that they bought a cute movie for their kids.
This is a terrible movie that I would have never purchased had I seen better previews. The title makes you think the story has a Christian outline, however, is more of a joke upon the true story of Noah and the flood.
You'd be better off with Veggie Tales. Trust me on this.
There were animals kissing, provocative female characters, references to sex, God was lethargic and bugged by having to tend to Noah, there were human stowaways on the ark.
This movie is absolutely terrible, and I can't imagine who the intended audience was supposed to be. It's not cute, funny, amusing, clever, or in any way close to being historically accurate.
A friend of mine sent me the DVD, but it was the clean version. I tried my best to find a high-quality version of the original, but this was the best I could find. Just like my Son of Aladdin video, I had to re-edit the movie to include the mature jokes. I mean, it's the best part of the film, and it's the main reason why I'm reviewing this in the first place. So, let's check it out.
I'll be back in a minute, darling.
We start off with an intro that is very quick-paced. When I first saw this, I couldn't figure out what was going on. Why was it so fast? What's even happening? But according to a source, each character on the screen represents one of the 7 deadly sins. Pride, envy, sloth, lust, gluttony, wrath, and greed. But really, I wouldn't have known this unless someone pointed it out to me. Like, connecting the dots here is quite the stretch, especially for kids. What's that, Timmy? You don't know your 7 deadly sins? Well, let us show you. We then find ourselves in the marketplace with our friends from the last scene. After that, we're introduced to God and one of his angels as they walk the streets and see how bad humanity has gotten.
Look at what they've done with the world. A storehouse of evil and greed. We had better deal with this at its very roots.
Forgive me for saying this, but when you talk about the end of the world, I get this knot in my throat.
I think a bunch of hookers were just winking at God.
Be gone, fucks!
By the way, I like what they did with God in this movie. It's definitely a unique design, with him being dark-skinned and large. Most God interpretations are the same, so this was refreshing. His voice, though,
We shall see. There still may be some hope for them.
We then meet Noah. We learn that he's a good guy who is kind and optimistic. His family, though, not so much.
We will always be fine if we stay together like we are. A family. Yes, one big family.
What do you mean your father got into debt again? And to free a slave, no less?
Silence!
None of his sons really believe in him, and especially his daughters-in-law.
If it is a question of age, Japhet is the eldest.
But first, Noah must be dealt with.
And for some reason, they all have really wacky accents. You get a southern drawl, some kind of British accent, and then someone from New York.
My son can take charge of it just as well as he can.
Noah's wife is a bit better, but I swear, there's a scene in the movie where she tries to break up with him.
Noah, all through our marriage, I've been loyal to you in every way. This you know better than anyone. But sometimes I feel that perhaps we're on different paths, and we don't realize that...
But Noah is called by God and is told to build an ark.
I'm going to send a flood.
Did you say a flood?
Yes, a torrential rain that will flood everything.
I know what a flood is, Lord.
Noah's family learns about the flood, and I gotta say, I love how his wife responds to everything.
Father said he spoke with God today in the forest.
Really? And what did he say?
That he was gonna send down a flood.
A flood, you say?
Yep, a torrential rain that will flood everything.
I know what a flood is, Japhet, so that means we're all going to die.
So Noah gets to work on the ark and sells his home to these side characters.
Finally, a summer house. And in exchange for a handful of pigeons.
I really don't care for these two. They stick around for the remainder of the movie and get into pointless shenanigans.
Like my grandfather used to say, if at first you don't succeed, cheat again. Poor soul. His partner killed him.
Oh, really? What a pity.
Something that I like about this movie is how the flood is a way for God to make his Bible more interesting. As in, he feels that his book isn't as exciting as other religious texts. And I think that's hilarious.
Look at this. It's Buddha's book. It has wonderful pictures. And this one is in Chinese. It's got more than 800 pages. And just look at the cover. So when will ours be ready?
Well, sir, we're just at the beginning. They're the first chapters.
At this point, you're probably wondering when the anthropomorphic characters are gonna show up. Well, right now. And it hits you like a slap to the face. This is the first scene that I had to edit into the clean version of the movie. I think it's pretty obvious why they left it out. After this scene, the pace picks up, and it's a roller coaster of animals. We are then introduced to our main character, Prince Zero. He's getting a massage from what I can only conclude is a gay orangutan.
What's this? It looks like a letter. Oh no, it's more like junk mail. They just don't know what to do to get people's attention. But don't you worry about a thing. Just relax your muscles.
This scene was also left out of the movie. I guess someone touching your butt isn't appropriate. But this is a problem, as there's an important part of the story here. You see, Zero only gets half of the message, and he's under the impression that the Ark is some kind of cruise for couples. He has no idea that the world is ending. They leave this part out of the clean version because I don't know. I guess him talking about multiplying was too much for the censors, even though that is the reason why the animals are going onto the Ark in the first place.
To learn to love each other and multiply, yeah! Woohoo!
So yeah, the clean version of the film leaves out this important plot point. Zero is supposed to be confused in the original story, but in the censored version, he comes across as negligent and cruel.
Listen to me. If I'm not on that Ark when it sets sail, I swear, Dad, I shall never forgive you.
A quick side note. I love that the gay orangutan, who looks a lot like King Louie, was picked for the Ark. That's absolutely hilarious to me. Talk about a logistical oversight.
And you're coming too, right?
But of course. I wouldn't miss this for the world.
But isn't this a couples thing?
Haven't you met her? Lily!
So the animals all meet up to talk about the Ark and what's happening. There is so much to take in from this scene. First off, some of these animals who showed up to this meeting are gonna be disappointed, cause they aren't going on the Ark. I see at least, 5 elephants in this audience. So the Lion King tells the other animals about the Ark, and how they were invited by mankind to send 2 of each creature onto the boat.
Noah has gotten in touch with us. He is inviting us to board his Ark. An Ark constructed to save us from a flood.
We then have this wonderful scene where we see some mythical creatures who say they don't believe in Noah, and that they think that this is some elaborate trick to hunt them down.
Man has always been our natural enemy. Let's not be naive. If you respond to this call, you will surely find your heads hung over a mantelpiece next winter.
Something else worth noting here are the animal designs themselves. We have creatures that look like actual animals. We have creatures that look like animals but walk like humans. And then we have creatures that are straight up human-animal hybrids. The designs are all over the place, and it's somewhat off-putting and confusing.
You will only survive by helping each other and following a strong leader.
So then we have another scene that was left out of the censored version of the film. Zero is complaining to his parents that none of his girlfriends he picked are going on the ship with him.
All of my suggestions have been rejected.
There must be a good reason.
Of course there is. Would you like to hear them? Newbie. Big boobs, no brains. Bruma. Too thin, no brains. Niebla. Too hippie, too busty, and no brains.
God, this movie. So the animals are heading to the Ark, and Zero is traveling with the girlfriend he wanted. They aren't even at the boat yet, and they're already getting busy. Along with him is an assistant named Kyrell.
Didn't they say couples only?
Precisely. They said couples, not a third wheel, you know.
Let's just pause here for a moment. Check out these character designs. This girl has the largest hips I've ever seen on a character. Then we got this girl who has a melon-shaped head. Ugh, it looks awful. And she doesn't even know what impeachable means.
Out
Out of respect for the person who accompanies her, I shall abstain from formulating a reply to a wholly unimpeachable woman.
What? What? Oh, look, I was very young. I didn't know what I was doing. Besides, my private life is just that, private. Aren't you going to say anything? She's insulting me.
Noah finally completes the arc, and good lord, is it impressive. The people who made this model also feel the same way, because we spend the next minute just staring at the thing.
My ark has a section for animals, with 1,300 double cabins, plus 5 towers for the birds.
So the animals are ready to get on the ark, but the herbivores demand that the predators promise not to eat any of them.
Just a minute. We want to guarantee that the predators are not going to devour us during the trip.
Real quick, check out some of these background characters. They are rough. And why is Heathcliff in this movie? So the predators promise not to eat any of the prey.
This is not the time for internal conflicts that sooner or later end badly. We have the opportunity to forge a new world. Let's do it based on respect and tolerance. I say here that if any of us so much as touches one of our brothers, I myself will give him his rightful punishment.
Noah then walks up to the animals and welcomes them to the ark. Then something happens that really doesn't make any sense to me. We're told that the animals aren't allowed to talk to humans.
This is why nothing would make me happier than for you to decide to board our ark and come along with us on this amazing adventure in peace.
As a representative...
But the rule, we aren't allowed to speak to the humans.
Why? Wouldn't life be so much easier if you could not only talk, but work alongside mankind? You're bipedal. You have thumbs. You can talk. Why not use that? Well, never mind. This movie does not know what it wants to be. It would have made more sense if they were just animals who can't communicate with humans in the first place.
They try to talk to me all the time. All they hear is Pika Pika.
You can hear him, right?
Pika Pika! Yeah!
The storm finally arrives, and the animals stampede onto the ark. In the process, Zero's girlfriend decides to mock Kyrell one more time, but in a freak accident, gets killed by a hippo. And I mean it, it's a real freak accident.
And you're not only fat, you're a busybody. You are starting
I can't stand her any longer. Oh, did I hurt you? What's that smell?
You don't even think of defending me. Oh, my little pom-pom, are you all right?
I lost my balance. My feet are so tiny.
Well, there goes the sweet and tender future mother of my children.
So now Kyrell has no choice but to get onto the ark. Everybody who wasn't on board is now dead, except for these two annoying characters who sneak on board. God then chimes in, and his angel gives him a rundown of the cost of the flood.
Special effects just called, and they said so much rain, and in the desert, no less, it's going to cost a fortune.
Tell them it's fine. It will have been worth the effort.
Even a god has to watch his movie budget. We then cut to the animals who are going into their cabins. We even get a shot of a donkey who just finished having sex with a deer. So Kovu talks to Kiara. Oops, my bad. Zero talks to Kyrell and tells her that he doesn't want to hang out, 'cause he's a douche.
Anyway, if we give each other a little time, I'm still very young, and also I might lose my image as king if I don't show myself in the right company.
Are you insinuating I'm not good enough for you?
Well, I wasn't exactly referring to being good enough. It's more a question of...
Of weight?
You see, it's not so much about what you are, but rather of what you aren't.
We then go to this club scene, which includes one of the most sexually charged moments in the film.
At first we were afraid, we were petrified.
To think the world that we once knew was gone, and you're what's left to carry on. I want to take away your pain in a new world that's free from rain. I want to live.
Can you imagine the look on the parents who bought this movie for their kids and they walk in and see them watching this?
My appetite is growing, and my teeth are very sharp. I will survive. I will survive.
So, a couple of things. First off, this character has a melon head too, but is also rocking out this big hair that looks like it's from Jersey Shore. Next, the song she's singing is literally about eating other animals, and nobody seems to care except for, like, the pig.
I wouldn't bother. If you come with me, I will be the one who leads you to the slaughter. Try to stop me if you can. I hope that you will understand that if I eat you, it's not bad, because it's all part of the plan. I want to live. I will survive.
We then learn about the predators and how they have a plan to capture all of the herbivores. How they want to put them into farms, make them fat, and then eat them up. We even get a disturbing cutscene that explains this in a different animation style.
The food will run to us. When we get to dry land, we will take the animals to a place where we can choose the ones we want, to fatten them up until the time comes for the sacrifice.
So the Panther character, who is cleverly called Panthy, starts to hit on Zero and gets him drunk.
And one of the most stimulating things about governing is to find one's capability for giving. For example, all the food is given to me for free.
Hey, your friend should learn to relax a little, you know?
Kyrell then freaks out, cause Zero opened a bar and gets angry that Zero isn't taking things seriously.
You signed an authorization so they can open a bar?
We then see Zero finally reading the rest of the note, and he realizes that he messed up. That this isn't a pleasure cruise, and he has to be better. But in the censored version, we never see this, so it just comes across as an ignorant jerk. We then cut back to these worthless characters who decided to disguise themselves as animals so they could hide on the Ark. They then accidentally see the predators talking about their plan, and they freak out.
But they look like a species of,
They smell horrible.
They smell like humans.
And they look absolutely repulsive.
Is it me? Or are they talking?
Yes.
So Zero is trying to be a better king and is hearing out suggestions from his people. By the way, they cut out a certain part of this. Can you guess which one?
I think that we should regulate the use of drugs so that they can be used responsibly.
This movie really is something else. We then see Noah's family and how they are growing restless, how they want to take over the boat and eat the animals on board.
Listen, old man, you are not shutting me up here for 40 days in the middle of this pond, feeding and cleaning up after those filthy animals.
Panthy then basically tells Zero that she's super horny, and that Zero can hit her up whenever he wants.
If only we could spend a little more time together. Especially at night, when I'm overcome by such a deep melancholy.
If I'll ever need me.
What was that?
Call me if you need me.
I don't need to call. The door to my heart and to my room are wide open.
Noah's family finally snaps and tries to eat the disguised humans. Noah intervenes, but falls into the ship, with everyone assuming that he's dead.
Oh!
Zero then goes into Panthy's room, and we get some bedroom eyes.
Hi, handsome. I've been waiting for you.
Look, I think we need to talk. But,
It's kind of funny because immediately after this, we got God saying that he wants to keep his book family friendly. which is pretty hilarious timing considering what just happened. I'm not sure if that was an intentional part of the movie, but who cares?
Be careful. It must be suitable for all ages.
Oh, well, sir, what do you expect? It has been 40 days.
We then discover that Zero was framed. Panthy says that he ate a creature and broke the truce between predators and prey.
You murderer! You assassin! He ate it! He ate the defenseless grasshopper!
Is this a joke?
Zero is then tossed into jail, and the tiger monologues and shares his nefarious plot. He even hints that he might bang Kyrell, which is kind of rapey.
You'll get yours!
That's just what I wanted to talk to you about. Oh, I'll get mine all right. Then maybe I'll get yours, too.
Dude, that's creepy.
We then cut back to Noah's wife, who tells the family that they should be praying for guidance.
Of course, when they're in trouble, they remember I exist.
The other animals figure out that Zero was set up and free him. Zero then confesses his love to Kyrell, which comes straight out of nowhere. I mean, they're supposed to hook up and have babies, but honestly, I never really saw a connection between the two, so this love thing doesn't really feel genuine at all.
And what's worse, I couldn't see that I loved you. I only thought that...
You only thought that a little bit of fun wasn't the end of the world.
They then go and confront the bad guys. And how do they do this? By performing what I think is called a haka. It's some kind of Maori war dance that some sports teams still perform today.
Hey! Akamate kamate ko. Akamate kamate ko. Akamate kamate ko. Akamate kamate ko. Atenete tanata. Ooh. Ana ichichi. Akakititi la. Aumpa. Aumpa.
Needless to say, this came out of left field. Even the tiger sounds dumbfounded. So the tiger and Zero have a fight with a bit of music that sounds like a ripped-off version of Eye of the Tiger.
Now I want to see if you'll dare clobber the real king! Yeah!
Ah, look, we even get some blood. But the fight comes to a screeching halt as the Ark hits an iceberg, and the animals try to get off the boat. But Zero lets out a mighty roar and tries to establish order.
Come back! There is no place to go, and we don't have any food!
I have a suggestion.
What?
Let's eat the predators!
That's enough!
Again, I just want to take a moment to look at these whack-ass background characters. We got Emotional Gopher, we got Bear Zebra Thing, and then there's a f***ing whale. Oh my god.
That's enough.
God finally decides to turn off the water, but the Ark is stuck in the ice. Zero has the idea to use fire and tar to melt their way out. Before they do, though, we have this wonderful bit where Noah and Zero lock eyes, which I can only imagine would be terrifying for Noah. I mean, he's staring at a lion holding a torch. Zero then throws the torch like a football player as it flies about 1,000 feet. Oh, and these two decide to jump off the ship and are left in the Arctic like a bunch of idiots. The animals then have a massive party because why not? And we see all of the critters celebrate. We even get some cage dancing from Panthy. To wrap things up, Zero gives Kyrell a kiss, and we get our rainbow from God, and that's it.
Angel, you left the rainbow on.
I'm so sorry, Lord.
I think here at the end, we learn an important lesson, and that's how Noah's Ark is a logistical nightmare that should not feature furry characters shaking their ass in a kid's movie.
I asked him to make a delivery, and I said, oh, well, I'm not a stork.
Okay, so let's go over my 5 points. Story. So it's based on a Bible story and has a unique twist. And it's interesting seeing it from the animal's perspective, but I feel that they dropped the ball here. The characters are obnoxious, and I only like one of them being Kyrell. Also, the way the clean version is cut makes the main character look terrible. I mean, he's already bad enough, but without this piece of info, he goes from unknowingly dim-witted to being straight up negligent.
Your behavior is unacceptable.
Since when are there so many prerequisites for taking a trip? Who's in charge of this ridiculous way of choosing?
Dialogue. Again, the full version makes much more sense with what's going on with the story. But even then, it's clunky. The way the characters talk to each other make many of them insanely unlikable.
I need to have my bacon for breakfast, you know. One less piggy won't make much of a difference, will it?
I think that...
We need a decision, Your Majesty.
Voice acting. Nothing great, really. Not a single character really grabbed my attention from their voice. If anything, most of them did the opposite, especially Noah's family. Again, why, oh why, is there a New Yorker on the Ark?
And what are we supposed to eat in the meantime?
Whatever God provides will be enough.
Editing. It's badly mixed with some characters talking over each other. Now, it's nothing horrendous, but it's nothing to write home about. It's just... meh.
As usual, my faithful animals have responded.
Why wouldn't they respond to such a generous, fair, and dashing king, Saber?
Yes, and old.
And finally, the animation. It's not bad. There are parts of the movie that look quite competent, or dare I say, good. The Ark itself is quite impressive, and the movie knows it. That's why we stare at the 3D model for almost a minute. Some of the characters have good designs, like Noah, and I like what they did with God. But then you have these anthro characters who just look ugly. Now, not all of them are terrible, but a good chunk of them are, especially the anthro female characters. Why do they all have melon heads and funky hair? It's distractingly bad.
But we will only do this if we can learn to trust one another.
Too bad you will never get to see that world.
In conclusion, this movie showed promise. There was obvious talent that went into its production, and it shows. But it absolutely fails in major ways that harm the overall quality of the film. Things that you can't ignore or shake off. From unpleasant characters with obtuse designs, to story inconsistencies and plot points. Noah's Ark had potential, but couldn't make the final cut even with the full version. I think the film would have been much better if they stuck with a style. Make all of the animals anthro, or none of them. Also, focus more on the animals and their relationship with mankind. I don't care about these characters, they're boring. I'm much more interested in the talking lions and the animal kingdom's relationship with humans. But that never really happens. But there's something that keeps me up at night. Something that I cannot figure out. Why are so many of the shows and films that I review feature talking lions? Why is this a thing? And why is it so common?
Are you for us or for our enemies?
Oh God.
You know what we should do? Lie down in the grass and stare at the sun.
Oh God. No, please, shut up! I'm a vegetarian. No! Hey guys, thanks for watching the video. If you liked it, give it a like, and sub for more future videos. Also, a shout out to all of my supporters on Patreon. If you want to support my content, go hit up the link in the description. Alright, thanks again for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.